Hi guys, who is ready to do some double digit subtraction? We're moving on this week. We've had a good amount of practice on our double digit addition, so we're going to move on to subtraction this week. You have a poster in your packet that looks a lot like this, and this is going to be your guide for helping you remember what to do and where you start when you're doing a double digit subtraction problem, okay? We talked about the sign and where the sign is in the problem. We also have already talked about the one side of a problem or number and the 10 side, okay? When you have your problem lined up on your paper, you're always going to remember that start on the right and you'll always be right. The right side of your problem is always going to be the side of the problem that is the ones column, and it is farthest away from the sign. Whether it's addition or subtraction, the one side is always the farthest away. So you're going to do the same thing, boys and girls, that you did with your addition problems as far as putting your little railroad track down the middle of your problem and then doing one side and then the other side. It's very important that you keep those sides separated, and it's very important then you remember what side to start on. So remember the right, start on the right, and you'll always be right. And you've got a little poster in there to help you remember that this week, okay? Now remember, when we subtract, boys and girls, we are taking away. Okay, taking away. For your math this week, you may use your fingers. You may use counters of anything that you have at your house, whether it be pennies, beans, cereal, anything you have that are small pieces that you can move around, that you get permission from your parents to use. Don't forget that. You can use as counters if you need them to help you. But I think that most of you will just be fine because these are simple subtraction problems once we break them apart and we only work on one side at a time. I don't think this is going to be hard for you. We're going to work on it this week. We're going to practice it again next week. So by the end of these 2 weeks, I really think you will be confident in knowing how to do this. Let's look at the work that you're going to be working on this week. Your first page is 10.5, and you have some problems to do. You have plenty of room here to draw your railroad track. The tens and one side is listed for you. And you also have some problems down here and up here that you can fill in the mystery number or the 0 if you want to kind of help you stay in line so that you don't get confused. Okay, the back of this page is a review of greater than, less than. This would be your homework side if we were at school. Okay, you're just going to circle the sign, greater than or less than, for the number. Now remember, boys and girls, the alligator's mouth, that's what that looks like, is always going to eat what number? The biggest number. You're right. The alligator always wants the biggest number. He's hungry. He always wants the biggest number. He doesn't want the little small scrawny number. So remember to make your alligator mouth, the one you circle, eat the biggest number. Make him chomp down on that big number, okay? All right. The next lesson, 10.6, the same concept here. Okay, on this page, you may definitely want to use your counters, boys and girls, and count out those bigger numbers. You can also use your number line here that we gave you from the first week packet that you taped or glued together. You can count backwards or jump backwards on the number line. You can also use the hundreds chart that we talked about. Okay, parents, we are not borrowing. We don't regroup in first grade in any kind of way. We don't borrow. We don't carry. If you have taught your children that or they are learning that, that is A-okay. But what we really stress in first grade, especially with these bigger numbers and subtraction, is using a number line or a hundreds chart to count back or jump back. And if you have that grid, also the tens and the ones, you can always draw the number again like we did before with the lines for a 10 and the dots for a 1. And then instead of looping together a 10, you're just going to cross out the number that you're taking away. Okay, I'll probably give you a little more clarification on this next week when we're practicing with that hundreds chart possibly. Not the hundreds chart, with the grid, the tens and ones grid. Might be a good idea for me to include that in your packet, so you may have one at home to work on. So I'll think about that, what we can do about that. But this week I would focus on using the hundreds chart or the number line that you got given in the first week to find the big number and then jump back to the other number. Okay, we're not borrowing or not carrying. We're not doing any of that in first grade math, so I don't want the kids to be confused. On the other side, you're going to be doing the same thing again. That alligator's going to eat the biggest number. You're going to circle the alligator mouth that is eating the biggest number. Okay? Same thing again. This page, I really want you to focus on using your hundreds chart or your number line to take away those numbers or hop back so that you can figure out the number and how to do it correctly, okay? Once again, we're not doing any type of regrouping here, borrowing, carrying. Just use your hundreds chart and your number line, okay? All right, on this side, we have a review of putting our numbers in order. If you'll look at the directions at the top, it says that you're going to put these 3 numbers in order from least to greatest. From least to greatest. Now remember, boys and girls, the least would be your smallest number. That's what that word means. Your greatest would be your biggest number. So from least to greatest. And do that for the whole page. They don't switch directions on us on this one. Okay, on our last day this week, 10.8, you have this tens and ones grid that I was kind of referring to earlier. You've got some word problems here. If you need help reading these, you can get some help from an adult. Okay, you're just going to read the word problem. They're going to be subtraction-based word problems. If you want to write the number or draw the number over here, use your line for a 10 and a dot for a 1. And then take away. You can write your answer here. If you would rather write a problem or draw your problem out, okay, you can always do that in the space provided as well. Also, feel free, boys and girls, to get out your hundreds chart and your number line to help you with this page as well. On the back, you have another number order, except for this day. If you look at the directions closely at the top, you're going to switch it up. You're going to do the greatest to the least. So the big number to the little. So you're going to start off with the big number on this side and go toward the little. Okay? All right. I know, parents, that teaching your kids these math strategies and how we kind of teach them at school is different than probably what you have learned or the way that you do them. That is a-okay. I tell my students this all the time, and I'm telling you, however you get the answer, however it makes the most sense to you, do it that way. Do it that way. What makes the most sense to you, do it that way. If using your hundreds chart, if using counters, if, putting that line down the middle and, subtracting that way makes sense to you. If drawing the number out with tens and ones, whatever works for you, you do that. Don't worry about all the rest of it, because at the end of the day, we just want to learn how to subtract double digits and get the right answer. So it's all good. It's all cool. Work hard on this week. Practice a lot. We're going to review it again next week, so this is not going to be the only practice you get. Next week, I am going to do a little bit more teaching with the number line and with the hundreds chart to kind of give you a little more experience with that, how I showed the children how to do that. They already know because we've done it with smaller numbers using those 2 tools, but I'll jump on here and do you a little video so that just to refresh your memory. Okay? Have fun doing your math this week.